if there's anyone who knows how tough politics is Tania Campbell. And you'll recall just a couple of days ago, she was ousted as the mayor of Ekurhuleni, and she joins me now. Ms. Campbell, very good. Is it still morning? Yes, it still is. Good morning to you. Thanks indeed for your time. You know how tough politics is. Ousted twice as the mayor of Ekurhuleni. What went wrong there?
Yeah, look, politics, again, like you say, is very long with a 24-hour span. When you are in minority within even your coalition, it makes it even more tough because what happens is your long-term planning is always vulnerable. Whatever you are trying to achieve with your executive becomes vulnerable. And if it doesn't speak to the broader spectrum of the population of your city or your council, it even gets more vulnerable. However, when self-enrichment becomes the tone of the day with politics, that is when you actually start questioning, and that is what has happened in Ekurhuleni.
Some could argue self-enrichment, and while you say you might have wanted, of course, to put the needs of the people of Ekurhuleni first, there are also accusations of, the Democratic Alliance being arrogant, not wanting to, negotiate with its coalition partners on a way forward for the city's residents or for the Metro's residents. How do you counter that? Because the accusation towards your ousting in that motion of no confidence, spoke to accusations of a decline in service delivery in that area.
Yeah, look, in the coalition in Ekurhuleni, that is definitely not the situation. The coalition that we actually had a fantastic working agreement, and I think we were quite an example for the country on how to run a coalition. We had our consultative meetings on everything. We had strategic sessions on everything. So as a coalition, we really did well in Ekurhuleni. And I think, obviously there are things wherever in any system that you have that you can either grow from, learn from, and improve with. But I must say, I am proud with our coalition partners that we had in Ekurhuleni. We stood fast, we made tough decisions, and we made decisions to enhance service delivery. When you are in a minority, the problem that you do see is then when people start sabotaging the system, or you've got officials who are very politically aligned. Now, I've always said that Ekurhuleni has got fantastic officials, but there are also officials that are very politically aligned. If you are an official and you're paid by the coffers of your residents, you should be able to do your work as non-partisan.
Yeah, the same accusation, though, could be made of you, where you recall at the time when there were service delivery protests in Tembisa, and there were accusations that you didn't show up. You showed up when the situation had turned volatile. In fact, some people died in that protest. And the accusation is that while you were mayor, you did nothing to help the people of Ekurhuleni. There were people who died under your watch asking for basic services.
Yes, look, again, that was stuff that was politically motivated. In actual fact, I had many meetings in Tembisa prior to that to try and calm the situation in it, without media, without a fanfare, because that was not what it was all about. What it was about is to try and settle and calm down. However, it was very much politically driven by certain political parties, and we saw that quite clearly within the media. Well, obviously the ANC stepped in and became very focused on not resolving the issues. I must say,
you didn't respond immediately. You didn't go to Tembisa when that had started.
Yes, we did.
Was it not a couple of days later?
We actually did. Yeah. We actually did, and that's why I say we didn't do it with media or fanfare. I did it with my executive. I sat down with the committees. We sat down and we came to a proper resolution. But then, like I said, it then became a political driving to, and it's a shame.
Should the loss of life then rest on who you say was responsible for what took place in Tembisa? You say it's very much politically motivated.
I think to pinpoint a loss of life on anybody is actually not the way that I would like to comment, because I think that is being reckless. The situation became volatile. EMPD did go in and they controlled the system. And the more we tried to control the system, the more it got out of hand, until I then approached the Taxi Association, I approached all the religious associations, the Religious Council. We all had huge meetings together to resolve the thing, and I thank them very much. We had a lot of citizens, a lot of committees that we sat with to resolve the issue. And it should never, ever come to that situation where you see loss of lives because you are trying to destabilize a government. That should never happen. It should never happen. And unfortunately, it did happen. You know, so, but at the end of the day, that is also, there's a lot of, like I say, in any government that you are in, there are lessons to be learned. There are ways to go forward. There are people that you need to take hands with to resolve issues. And that's why I say, I do thank those people who took hands with me to resolve those issues within the community.
So from the opposition benches, what now? Ultimately, you know, the coalitions in Ekurhuleni, Johannesburg, Tshwane, proven to be very chaotic. So from the opposition benches, what now to help the people of Ekurhuleni who felt that with everything that's been going on there, service delivery is what has been at the back foot?
Yes, one thing that we have done is stabilized or starting to stabilize the finances. You have to stabilize the finances to get services to your communities. That is a fact. You cannot run in a red situation with loans continuously. So we have just set the MTREF. There are some really spectacular things that we have put in there. We've managed to bring or keep the rates below what the inflation is, and all the increases below to what inflation is, besides where we are guided by NERSA or by Rand Water. But sitting in the opposition benches, and that's why I always said, I am not, I don't need to be mayor to make sure that I participate in getting services out. So I'm not desperate for that position. What I am desperate for is that services go to the communities. And I know how hard we have worked. I know how hard we have stabilized. And I certainly will keep an eye on those processes that we brought in. And also the debt rehabilitation policy, which I think is really a fantastic policy that we brought in to assist the poor in the community.
Look, an hour to go for the announcement of the results. So whoever's at the helm of your party clearly needs to aspire the kind of confidence to the majority of this country's people that you are the best alternative come the 2024 elections.
Yes, I'm exceptionally excited. As you've seen the atmosphere at the conference today, our Congress is a hype of activity. We are positive. We are positive for our future in this country, and we have to remain positive for the future of our country. We are all South Africans. We all have to fight for a positive and a lucrative country.
All right, just a few moments ago, we're hearing from the Democratic Alliance now that we are now going back to the original schedule, and the leadership announcement is now expected to take place at 14:30. So the original announcement, or the previous announcement about the announcement of leadership at 1 o'clock, that's moved now to an hour and 30 minutes later. So we're expecting the announcement of the leadership of the Democratic Alliance that will take this political party forward at 14:30 this afternoon. right, Ms. Campbell, thank you very
Thank
much
you.
indeed for your time, and all the
Thank
best
you.
to the rest of you.
Thank you very much.
All right, speaking there to the former mayor of Ekurhuleni, Tania Campbell.